In the 18th century, Cabernet Franc and Carmenere were the most notable varieties of the Medoc and Bordeaux. Phylloxera then hit, a lot of the vines were replanted, and since Carmenere can give low yields, it can be difficult in a vineyard, producers started moving more towards Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon. The original 6 permitted red varieties of Bordeaux are Merlot, Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Malbec, and Carmenere. These days in Bordeaux, you rarely see it planted. There are very few producers that use Carmenere in the blend in Bordeaux. Chateau Clerc-Mignon is one of the few, which is a fabulous wine, by the way. Chile has the most plantings of Carmenere, around 10,000 hectares. That's around 25,000 acres of the variety. For the longest time, producers thought it was Merlot up until 1994 when they realized, oh, it's a different variety altogether. The same thing happened in Italy in the 90s. Producers thought it was actually Cabernet Franc, especially the famous Tenuta San Leonardo. Then they started to realize, oh, it's a different variety altogether. Now the Italian government states that there are about 1,000 hectares of Carmenere in Italy. The variety is also flourishing in China, where they call it Cabernet Garnicht. I've had some wonderful examples as well. Carmenere, when it's underripe, can be herbaceous, leafy, even like jalapeno or green pepper, but it can have the plush mouthfeel of Merlot. Actually, when it's done well, it reminds me of good Cabernet Franc. I remember when I lived in Singapore and I was just starting to get in wine, there was an importer of South American wines and he gave me a Conchi Toro Taruno, and I thought it was an absolutely gorgeous wine. And sometimes I wonder why I don't drink more of these wines, because usually you can get really good value for money, especially if they're coming out of Chile. Here today, I have 5 different varietal Carmenere wines, ranging from about 20 bucks all the way up to 80 bucks. You ready? I'm ready. Let's get tasting. Carmenere wines can act like Merlot or Cabernet Franc, Bordeaux style, so I have my Gabriel Glas Standart edition. The variety is also part of some prestigious Bordeaux blends in Chile, so if you want a Carmenere varietal wine, go for a Bordeaux or universal shape glass. I think it'll work out for you. Let's get blind tasting. As always, I Coravin these and had somebody mix them up for me. With these Carmenere wines, there's usually no shortage of color, which we see here, more of a purpley color. Sometimes the Carmenere wines, they can remind me of Syrah in color. Wine 1 is not green at all. Doesn't have any capsicum or bell pepper flavors. Maybe just like a slight hint, but not a ton. Maybe it's only because I know that's the thing about tasting. Sometimes you're subject to your own bias. I know we're tasting Carmenere, so I think I should be finding capsicum, but I'm not finding a ton here. I do have some blackberry, some black plum, but not overly jammy. That's the cool thing about these Carmenere wines. They're not too jammy, like Merlot can sometimes get a bit too much. Black peppercorns, blackberries, maybe black cherry, black plum. I like a little bit of mocha. I'm looking for green flavors, but not finding a ton. Mouthfeel wise, it does feel savory. It does feel more medium body. It's not a massive red wine. It does remind me a lot of a well done, riper Loire Cabernet Franc, maybe with less greens. I think some people want a little bit more intensity, but honestly, in this style, I really enjoy it. And some of these are really affordable, so maybe we're going to find some gems here. We'll see. 2 has a little bit more wood, so maybe it's one of the more ambitious wines in the set. It's not overly fruity or 2D fruity. This really does smell. I get wood, I get just a touch of greens, I get black cherry, I get red cherry. This does smell a lot like a Cabernet Franc. This has more tannin. You feel it a little bit. You feel some of the wood tannins on the gums right here. I think this is a more ambitious wine, a little bit more wood, so it might age a little bit better. Right now, I'm preferring kind of the fruitiness and the easygoingness of 1 a little bit more than 2. But 2 might be a wine that, hey, you need to give a little bit more time to. I like on these red wines, man, it's really a nice balance between fruit and savory vegetal type notes. I like it. You have to kind of like more earthy, more savory type red wines. People that like big, bold, fruity wines maybe aren't going to go for something like this, but I'm enjoying it so far, especially since you can get these at nice price points. I just got back from the Concours Mondial de Brussels. This year it was in Mexico, the red and white session, and my panel chair was actually a guy from Chile, and on the last flight, I could have swore that they were Chilean Carmeneres. They were really herbaceous, a lot of capsicum, yet plush, and when we revealed smelled them, I was like, oh man, they're definitely Chilean Carmenere. They were Chinese Cabernet Sauvignon. And we gave some good scores. Wine 3. Okay, 3 has more violets and also a little bit more wood. Cherry. Again, not so green. I think 1 and 2 were a little green, but these wines are not green at all. I was kind of hoping for some green leafiness. Earth. This is such a unique wine, and the fact that I definitely get wood. I like wood in white wines, actually more than I do in red wines. I don't love really oaky red wines unless it's Syrah, because Syrah handles the oak well. But I like the oak here. It's like, sometimes people like their steak, just the meat, high quality meat. Some people like tons of pepper on it, and you cook it and you get that nice crispy pepper layer on it, and you definitely get the pepper, but it won't overpower the meat. That's the case here. You definitely get the wood, but it's not overpowering. Yeah, for some reason I like that. It's nice season. It's just wood done well. That's really weird. I think so far, I'm guessing I have a couple more expensive, ambitious Carmeneres here, and I feel like 2 and 3 might be that, but I don't know. Let's move on to 4. 4 smells like a younger wine. Cherry red plum. Again, no greens at all here. I'm kind of missing the green. I want some capsicum, actually. Yeah, red cherry, red plum tobacco. Maybe just a touch of mocha. Just a touch. I'm really digging the mouthfeel. I like more medium-bodied red wines, and I think all of these might, I'll have to check the label again. I think they're all coming in around 14 degrees in alcohol, which should suggest a bigger wine. But on the palate, they really feel more like Loire Cabernet Franc. More medium-bodied, kind of slender red wines if you're into that sort of thing, which I really like. 4 is just in balance. Everything really kind of comes together. Nothing sticks out. I really enjoy it. It's a wine that I think maybe could age. You could put in the cellar for 5-6 years, maybe up to 10. But I'm really enjoying, I wouldn't wait on it. I'm enjoying that fruit now. Let's move on to number 5. 5 is deeper in color, much deeper in color. I get like a soy sauce component, a little bit of mocha, black cherry. Again, no greens. This also shows wood, so maybe this is more of the ambitious, one of the more ambitious Carmeneres. Number 5 is, again, one of the more ambitious wines. It's smooth, real silky, if you like those type of wines. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Wines 1 through 4 had these chewy tannins I kind of like. Again, reminded me a lot of Loire Cabernet Franc. Pretty shocked to not get green flavors here. Some nice wines. One that I think is very, very, very good. Now, here's the thing. These are also niche wines. People that like Cabernet Franc or like more medium-bodied, more savory reds are going to get into these. I think the normal consumer that likes big plush red wines aren't going to like these, except number 5, because there are some tannins here. We'll see what the price points are, because I do think they offer a good alternative to Loire Cabernet Franc. And you can actually find Chilean Carmeneres a little bit easier than some Loire Cabernet Francs. Let's start out with number 2. More wood. I thought it was a little bit ambitious. However, it didn't really move me a ton. I thought it was very good wine. I gave it 90 points. I did like that wine 1 and 2 were the most green. So this really acted like a Cabernet Franc. It just wasn't popping to move to greatness levels. I still think it was very good. 90 points. 90 points. Let's take a look here. Geez, the most expensive wine in the bunch. This is the Tenuta San Leonardo Carmenere. This 2018, this comes in at 80 bucks. So not cheap at all. Tenuta San Leonardo is one of the great estates in Italy. Makes very unique Bordeaux blend. One of my favorite wines in Italy. It's got mostly Cabernet Sauvignon with like 20% Carmenere and 20% Merlot. They're one of the producers to help realize, hey, it's not Cabernet Franc in the vineyard, it's Carmenere. This is not their top wine. This is kind of like a specialty. 2018 is a warm vintage. That was an ambitious wine, had the wood, very Loire Cabernet Franc-y. I love the producer. I would go for their main wine, their flagship Tenuta San Leonardo over this wine. I think it's good, 80 bucks. It's kind of pricey. Let's move on here. Wine number 1, like a touch of greens. Like wine 1 and 2 are the most Carmenere. I just thought it was balanced, delicious. It wasn't like popping out in any matter whatsoever. It was just really good. I gave it 90 plus points. I think it was delicious. Let's take a look and see if it's from Chile or Italy. It's from Chile. This is the Casa Silva. This is kind of an iconic Carmenere, actually. The Casa Silva Carmenere Los Lingues Vineyard 2022. Very young. Comes in at 22 bucks. Again, 14% alcohol, so it's not so big. Now, here's the deal. I gave it 90 plus points. I think at 22 bucks, that's delicious if you like that style of wine, and sometimes you can find it for even less. So I think that's worth checking out. Number 4, red cherry, red plum, tobacco type flavors. It was just delicious. Nothing really stood out. It was really balanced. I gave it 91 plus points. I thought it was pretty darn good wine. And I hope it's affordable for your sake, because I'm going to say go seek this out. And it is. This is the Enema Carmenere Pew. This has a little Merlot. 85% Carmenere, 15% Merlot, so a little bit balanced, 13.5 alcohol. Comes in also at 22 bucks. Enema is in the Veneto. They're producers of Suave. Their Suave wines, which are white wines, tend to be a little bit bigger in style, especially their top-end stuff, which is barrel fermented. Funny enough, they're known as a white wine producer. I've loved this wine in the past, although this is the first time I've had it in a few vintages. They also make in special vintages a beautiful Cabernet Sauvignon. One of the better Cabernet Sauvignons I've tasted coming out of Italy. Can't remember the name of that, but it's a good wine. It's a little more expensive, but still 22 bucks. I highly recommend it. It's worth checking out. The last two here. Now, number 5, this was the darkest. It was the smoothest. It was the kind of pretty ambitious. Not to my style, big, fruity, round, but I think a lot of you are absolutely going to love it. 92 points. 92 points for this, what I think is an ambitious, smooth wine. This is the L'Apostle Cuvée Alexander Carmenere 2022 from Chile as well. This comes in at 24 bucks. This is the same ownership as Cloapalta, one of the most iconic wines in Chile. Cloapalta is unique. It's a Bordeaux blend, but uses a heavy percentage of Carmenere in the blend. This is their single vineyard special edition. And 24 bucks, I think that is a steal. I think for people that like big red wines, people that are drinking some Washington State red wines, some Napa Cab type wines, you pick that up at 24 bucks. I think you're going to be happy. You're going to be happy as a bird. Okay, number 3, which was really weird for me. Usually don't like this style wine because it was pretty woody, but like I said, like that pepper on the steak, that pepper crustedness on the steak, it adds a really just nice flair to it. Had some violet notes. I thought it was delicious. I know now what's left, and I've never tasted this wine before. I gave it 93 points. I thought it was very good. It's a little more expensive, also from Chile. This is the Ventisquero Obliqua. This is their top Carmenere this is the same appellation as the L'Apostol, the Apolta denomination in Chile. I got to get to Chile. I haven't been there yet. This comes in at 60 bucks. Has oak, so you're going to want that. Again, fans of like Napa Cab, some bigger oakier reds are going to like it. And weirdly enough, I liked it. And I don't even like oaky reds that much. So that says a lot about the wine. It's a little more expensive though. Tell me, what do you think about the grape Carmenere? Have you tried any of these wines before? Do you like Carmenere? Or even you like the green flavors of Cabernet Franc? I'd love to know. Drop it in the comments below.